Hi guys, hope you're okay. This is Daniel. So this is a quick video talking about overcoming fear and procrastination and finding self-love to achieve your goals and help you get beyond your natural fears. And the reason I'm making this video is because having recently started a YouTube channel, it's been an interesting journey to try and get myself on camera, make videos, put myself out there. I've done a lot of videos on Instagram, so it's not like it's anything new, but I think the reason why I've always not started working on this platform is because I've had a fear of failure, a fear of potential success, and also just making excuses about not having the right equipment and being a perfectionist. And all of those things combined can set you back, especially when you're trying to attain a goal, but there's a barrier in your mind that stops you from getting to that point. And when I looked deeper into my own situation, wondering what that barrier was, it all stemmed back to self-esteem. And the thing about having low self-esteem is that regardless of how many people tell you that you're amazing, that you're a wonderful person, if you don't feel it within yourself, then ultimately what you're going to be is just a walking shell of potential that never has the opportunity to express itself because you're constantly caught up in an anxious web of lies that you tell yourself, that you're not good enough, that you're not able to orate, that you're not going to have anything to talk about. And, those things might be partly true, but I mean, everyone can talk about anything. We all tell stories on a daily basis, whether you're going to recount, what you did at the weekend, or even if you're going to think about what you want to do, if you're going on holiday, if you're planning ahead. It's just having the aptitude to be able to go forward and put a plan together essentially to get from one point to another. And the other example I can think of is when it came to applying for particular jobs, I would always look at the job descriptions and think that I'd never had enough experience or that I didn't have direct experience to go for that particular role. And even though that's true, it's only maybe in the last year or so when I thought about the job being the potential for the person or the candidate as opposed to being the mandatory requirements. Some places do say that you need to have at least X, Y, and Z before you apply for the role. But I think ultimately what they're looking for is your ability to be able to transfer your existing skills into that role. And the only way you do that is being able to visualize where you want to go, what you want to do, and almost visualizing yourself in that particular situation so you can say what you would do as opposed to what you think you can't do. And that's also a really important process when it comes to building self-esteem. It's changing the language that we use and speak against ourselves, because when I watched a lot of manifestation videos and realized that our words have a lot of power, it completely changed my perspective, and I just began to start to give myself positive affirmations, because when we affirm ourselves positively, our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a negative thing or a positive thing. If we say that we can't do something, then ultimately we're going to set ourselves up with a self-fulfilling prophecy and we're going to create obstacles where they don't exist. But if we focus on the things you can do, and if you really have an attitude of I can definitely achieve something, then in time you will achieve it. But it really is important that we look at the language we say to ourselves and use with ourselves. Um, Also, just not worrying about the opinions of other people as well. I think that's a really important one, especially for me, because being raised in a religious background, there's always been this heavy emphasis on, you don't put yourself first, you always put others first, which I think is a great thing to do, and I think it's good to be selfless. But ultimately, I think we have to remember that we are the vehicles of our own consciousness. So effectively, if we go to sleep or if we, no longer exist, then essentially what happens is our perception of reality as we know it, you watching this video, me recording this video, me looking out of the window right now, that all disappears. So, and it's the age-old analogy as well of the aeroplane scenario. When a plane's about to go down, what they say is don't try and save everybody else, save yourself first, put your own mask on, and then try to save others. And it's not to say you're being selfish by doing that, but it is a truth that I've come to resonate with, that we can only really look after others when we truly look after ourselves. And that applies to relationships, it applies to love, it applies to everything. So don't be afraid to put yourself first. Don't be afraid to exalt yourself. Look at the things that you do well, look at the things that you actually do that make people happy. Create a list. If you are feeling like you're struggling with this, the best way to deal with it and to overcome it is to actually face it head on. Because by facing up to the things that we are afraid of, then we give it an opportunity to be brought into the light from the darkness. And by doing that, you give yourself an opportunity to then say, well, can I actually overcome these things? And by virtue of the fact that you're watching this video, the likelihood is that you can. And any disaster that you've ever gone against, if you think about everything you've gone through, there's probably a time in your life where you felt that you weren't going to overcome that journey, but then, here we are in 2020, all going through a particularly weird quarantine together. But, I've had my highs and lows throughout this time as well, I'll be honest. Right now, I definitely feel that I am ascending out of a negative place, a negative headspace. It's taken me a while, but it always does. I always go up and down the roller coaster of life, but that's also the purpose of life too. I don't think it's meant to be this continuous state of I'm in this happy mood, I'm always going to be upbeat and able to find the answers, because life is about duality. You get your highs and your lows, but I think the reason why you get the highs and lows is because you need to have one to appreciate the other. So, yeah, I guess I've slightly gone on a bit of a tangent here, but the purpose of this video is just to encourage anybody who is feeling like they're having low self-esteem and that they might not have the ability to be able to overcome that. Just know that everyone feels it to their own degree. Some people maybe perceive themselves as being a bit more confident than others, but everything is just an act, really. We're just all living life, trying to work it out as we go. So don't feel like you're the only one. But if you do need any help and guidance about this, please feel free to leave a comment below. If there's something you're struggling with, if there's something that you need to overcome, maybe I'll be able to help, even if it's just giving some very armchair advice as I am doing now. But yeah, just think to yourself, you were born for a reason, and that might not necessarily be at the forefront of your mind. You might not know what your purpose is. You might not even have to know. I think by the fact that you're actually here, just recognize that you are making a difference. So they're my quick thoughts. Hope you like this style of video. If you've got any feedback, leave me a comment. But until the next video, take care. Speak to you soon. Goodbye.